Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, everybody. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas today. I spent my Christmas night going to see the new film, Nosferatu. This movie is the next film by Robert Eggers. He's done movies like The Witch and The Northman, and you could definitely feel that this is a Robert Eggers film. This movie stars Nicholas Hoult as Thomas Hutter, Lily Rose Depp as his wife, who is probably the lead of this film, Bill Skarsgård as Nosferatu, and you also got William Dafoe and Aaron Taylor-Johnson in here rounding out the cast. This is a stacked cast. There's a ton of A-list actors here, and you could really just tell that they all wanted to be a part of this because it's not only a period piece, but a remake from a classic from 1922, and yes, there have been other adaptations since that movie in 1922, but nothing quite like this. Essentially, Thomas is a real estate agent, if you will, that is supposed to go to where Orlok lives and help facilitate him signing papers for him to move over to Germany to live there in a castle there where he's gonna live out the rest of his days. He's old, he's a count, he's very wealthy, so he goes there, but learns that there's a lot more in store for him with this guy than just signing a bunch of papers. Count Orlok ultimately becomes obsessed with Nicholas Hoult's wife, Lily Rose Depp, and when he comes to Germany, he brings with him a bunch of dread and destruction and plagues, all in the sake of trying to get her to be his wife. It's up to Nicholas Hoult and Aaron Taylor-Johnson and William Dafoe and a bunch of other characters to try and stop Orlok in his tracks from not only taking Nicholas Hoult's wife away, but also bringing a plague that would destroy all of Germany. That is like the very loose elevator pitch for this film. I probably said this like 5 different times, deleted the video, said it again, because it's just so much to say in a description for something. If you really want to know a little bit more, I would just go to IMDb and look at their SparkNotes version of it, or go and watch the original one. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. It's like 80 minutes long, because I was expecting something different with this film. Now, I am not a huge Nosferatu fan, but a buddy of mine, John, I went to was. And when I initially walked out of this film, I was like, I liked it, but I didn't love it. And when I started explaining why, my buddy John was like, it's not about that. It's about this. And I don't know how that's gonna appeal to the everyday moviegoer if you're not a diehard Robert Eggers fan or a diehard Nosferatu fan. But let's break it down here and see if I can make it make sense for you people. So I'll start off with the good things. The cinematography in this film is going to get nominated for an Oscar. Like, hands down, 100%. If it doesn't, then the Oscars are rigged. This movie is so beautifully shot. You could tell that it probably took them a year of previs, which is like storyboarding before a movie takes place, so they know how the shot's gonna look before they even roll camera. Everything is just so like attention to detail, the lighting, the shadows. When you get these big, beautiful wides of the cities that they're living in, it's just gorgeous. And then like the nighttime shots where they're approaching a castle, it's unbelievable how they captured moonlight in this film. The performances across the board were phenomenal, but the standouts here are Nicholas Hoult's character and Lily Rose Depp, with her being the leading standout here. I watched that show she was on HBO with The Weeknd. She was not that good in it, and I've seen a couple other things that she's been in, and I'm like, she's fine as an actress, and I'm sure over the next decade or so of continuously acting, she's gonna get better. Kind of like Channing Tatum. When he came on the scene, I was like, this guy sucks, but he keeps getting like predominant work and leads in big Hollywood movies, and I don't get it. But because he kept doing that, he got better. I figured that that would be her trajectory after seeing her in a show last year and thinking she was terrible. And then here, when I walked out of that film, I was like, she needs to win the Best Actress award because she is remarkable in this film. She truly gives the performance of a lifetime here. She has asked a lot of her in this film. She's essentially under this spell from Count Orlok, where he knows he wants her, and I don't know the rules of vampirism going back to 1922 and what writers established back then, but apparently vampires could put a trance on you from across the world that would make you obsessed with them and just constantly think about them, and that's kind of what's happening to her here. So she almost is going through her own little demonic possession side story while they're all trying to figure out what the hell is going on, and she is just so amazing. They ask her to do so much cringy stuff, but not cringy in a bad way, cringy in like something that would happen in a demonic possession, and she just nailed it here, and it's something that you only see out of like seasoned actresses or actors. The violence, when it is there, they use practical blood, so when this dude is ripping necks off of mofos and blood is squirting out, it's really fun to watch. It's creepy, but it's really fun to watch. But most importantly, the thing they get right, which you really have to in a movie like this, is the tension and the dread. Even when Count Orlok isn't on the screen or even anywhere. It could be daytime and you're following our main heroes. Count Orlok isn't there, but you still feel his presence. It's just like this weight that's holding you down, and like it never lets up, even when they're trying to ease up on the tension with daytime scenes and funny things happening. It's still, his presence is felt, and it's a testament to how amazing Bill Skarsgård is in this role. When you watch him as Pennywise, you can see Bill Skarsgård in Pennywise. You cannot see Bill Skarsgård in Nosferatu, and I think one of the things with Pennywise is they didn't really set an age on him. They didn't try and portray him as old or young. It was just Bill Skarsgård with a big head and a wig. Here, Count Orlok is supposed to be hundreds of years old, and they nail it, but also the voice that he does, it doesn't sound anything like Bill Skarsgård. He has this voice that's so heavy and deep and slow and creepy. Every time he's talking, you just feel like uneasy. They do kind of the original, not the original Godzilla film, but the first one of the remakes that come out, where they kind of hide Godzilla for a long time, or some people will akin that to like the Jaws effect, where like you don't really get to see the shark until the end. They hide him a lot here in shadows and in silhouettes. And when you do finally get to see him, I thought his performance was amazing, but I did not like the creature design here on Orlok. But I'll get into that in the bad stuff. Yeah, the tension was impeccable. There are some jump scares in this film, but they're all earned in the setup, as opposed to just having like a jump scare for the sake of having a jump scare. When things are about to go down and you know that someone's about to eat it, it's genuinely terrifying. Just in the way that it's shot, the cinematography, the pacing, the slow push-ins, it's all really well done. And there was a couple times in this movie where I was like, this is probably the scaredest I've been in a film in a long time. And again, the dread. They nailed the dread in this. You feel so bad for Nicholas Holt's character for the first half of this film, and shit he has to go through. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the performance that he put on here. Honestly, across the board, I'm just so impressed with everything. But let's go into the bad now. What I will say about this is the first thing is going to be the character design of Orlok. I understood that Robert Eggers wanted to put his own stamp on this and modernize this creature, but I thought the look was kind of silly when you do eventually get to see it. Now, I don't want to spoil anything about it because they did a great job hiding it in the trailers, and if that's something you're looking forward to, I won't take that from you here. But that being said, just know that I did not like the design. It's not terrible overall. Mainly everything they did with his head. Everything, every feature on his face and his head, I was just really not into. I actually kind of chuckled a couple times at the reveals of new features of him. And aside from that, the only other gripe I have with this movie was the dialogue. Now, that's not to say that it's a knock on the movie. It's not a bad thing. It's not bad that they have period accurate accents and they talk in broken English. But without subtitles, I'm the kind of person that I can't understand that fluidly without them. Like, I need the subtitles to understand it, because when they're talking like that, it's so not like how we speak that like my ADD kicks in. And there was a point in the movie where there was a bunch of people in a room talking and I couldn't follow the conversation fluidly because of how broken the English was. And I started looking at light bulbs in the background and I was like, were there light bulbs back then? I thought there was only things lit by torches and candles. And it pulled me out of the movie sometimes. And again, it's not a problem with the movie. Like, yeah, he was period accurate. That was amazing. But I almost wished I got to watch it in subtitles. And I'm not trying to sit here and say the movie's boring, by no means. Like I said before, even when Count Orlok's not on screen, even when he's not killing people, it's still riveting because you're just so uneasy and you're so in dread that you're excited to get to like the next scene and you're excited to learn the next piece of the puzzle that's going to help them figure out how to defeat this thing. I just wish there was subtitles. And you know what? One more thing. The thing that I brought up in the beginning of the film where I said I didn't like it because of this, and my buddy was like, it's not really because of that. I was expecting a little bit more carnage, especially after seeing The Northman and how well Robert Eggers does violence and how much he likes to film violence. There's only really like 3 or 4 kills in this film, and I was kind of hoping for more. And don't get me wrong, when the kills happen, they are gnarly, they are brutal, the blood is there, the violence is filmed really good. There's just not a lot of it. And my buddy John was like, it's not really about that. The movie's not about watching Orlok go on a killing rampage like he's Michael Myers. It's about watching the chaos in his wake. Just being in the city, not even doing anything, is destroying the city from within because he brings the plague through the rats that essentially he's accumulated as his little army of
minions.
When he first gets there, he comes on the Demeter with millions of rats that invade the city and cause chaos and sickness. And that's really where the heart of this film is. And that also leads into the obsession he has with Lily Rose Depp's character, where this really is a tragic love story, more so than it is a creature disaster, watch a monster kill a bunch of people stuff. And I don't know about you guys, but that's what I'm into. I like watching monsters like annihilate people. I love watching dinosaurs eat people. I love watching vampires kill people like in Salem's Lot. I'm more into the action horror nature of it, whereas in this was more of like a methodical, make you think kind of horror movie. And again, that's not usually in my wheelhouse, but because I am a filmmaker as well, I was so impressed with the cinematography and the acting in this film that it brought it still into the positive realm for me. But if you're looking for more of a fast-paced horror film and not one that takes its time and builds this tension that's so dreadful, then you're probably gonna be like me and not like it. But if you do like that stuff, then you're probably gonna love it. And if you love Robert Eggers, you're probably gonna love this film. The only film of his that I like is The Northman, so take that with a grain of salt. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna give this movie a 7 out of 10, and that is, again, I'm not saying the movie doesn't deserve to be a 10 out of 10 or anything like that, but for someone like me that most of the time I'm watching Indiana Jones or Avengers or Batman films, this is not gonna be a movie that's gonna get your blood boiling the way that it would if you were a die-hard, old-school horror fan. So for me, it's a 7. For you, it might be a 9 or a 10. But I would love to talk to you guys in the comments down below and see what you think. Maybe you've seen it already and you're wanting to reach through the computer and slap me in the face because I don't like it as much as you do. Or maybe you hated it. I don't know. I would love to talk about it, and I would love for people to tell me why I'm wrong or tell me why I'm right. Anyway, guys, I hope you had a great Christmas. I hope I gave you a reason to go and see this film this weekend. If I did, let's talk about it. If I haven't, let's talk about it. And as always, I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll catch you next time.